Well, in this tutorial we're going to look at how to get our own images into ICPro. And we'll start with this folder down here, in which I've been gathering together images sent in from club members for a competition. And we'll open this up, and we see that I've got 9 images in there. Hopefully you'll have quite a lot more than that. Now, by far the most important thing to get right before putting the images into the program is to ensure that they've been correctly prepared. If they haven't, ICPro will simply reject them. And there's 3 main criteria here. We need to ensure that the images are of the correct file type. We need to ensure that they are of the right pixel dimensions. And finally, we need to ensure they've got the right file name. So let's go through that once more and have a look at the images we've got here. Now, all of these have been prepared correctly. So let's start with the correct file type. Now, the correct file type for ICPro is JPEG, and we can see from the extensions here that they are all JPEG images. We will actually learn in a later tutorial how ICPro can be enhanced to include TIFF images. But for now, they should all be JPEGs. Next, it's the pixel size. Now here we've got to make sure that the dimensions are no greater than the projector screen size that we're using. Now for these tutorials I'm using 1024 by 768. And if I run the mouse over this one, for example, and give it a click, down the left hand side here it tells us the dimensions. And we're trying to make sure it's smaller than or equal to 1024 by 768. And this is 527 by 768, which of course is absolutely fine. And we'll just take a look at one more, this letterbox shaped one down the bottom here. And you can see that is the full width of 1024, but it's below the height of 768, which is also fine. Now, if you do let slip through the net an image which is oversized, the software will still accept it. And what it will do is automatically reduce the size to fit the resolution projector size. However, this shouldn't be relied upon. The resize algorithm in ICPro is far from perfect, and if a large amount of reduction is necessary, the image may well suffer from loss of quality. So I would always recommend that you make sure the images are the right size before loading them into ICPro. Next, it's the file name. Now, incorrect file names are probably the largest cause of problems when loading images into the program. So what's right and what's not? Well, let's take a look at the ones we got here. And we'll take a look at the first one here, Beached by Ray Bridges. Now what we need here is the title in capital letters, a 1-character space followed by the word by in lowercase, another 1-character space, and then the author's name, which can be upper or lowercase. And we'll have a look at another one. Let's go down to the bottom here, Viglan Montage. Viglan Montage, the title's in capital letters. There's a 1-character space followed by the word by, another 1-character space, and then the author's name, Duncan James. And here we've also got a distinction, and we can add those if we so wish. But this is important, so I'm just going to repeat this one more time. We got the title in capital letters, a space, the word by in lowercase, another space, and then the author, which can be in upper or lowercase. Okay, so all these images I know are correct, so let's see how we can get them into the program. This version of the software gives us 2 ways of doing this. And first we'll take a look at the traditional method. That's the method used by all previous versions of the program. Now we need for this some files from the installation disk or the download folder. And I've got them all in here, this ICP18 setup folder. We'll open that up. And what we're looking at is these 6 shortcut files down here. Now each of these link to a folder embedded into the program, what we call a pixet. And it's these pixet folders which hold all the images for our competitions. and we can load into ImageComp Pro 6 sets of competition images at one time, hence 6 pick sets. Now you might not need all 6 very often, but if your competitions are split between, say, advanced workers, intermediates and beginners, well, you're going to need 3 pick sets. Well, here we're only interested in just one competition, so I only need 1, and I need to get one of these pick sets across to my desktop. And I can copy and paste, so I'll right click, copy, I'll pick pick set 1, I could in fact pick any of them, go to my desktop, click and paste. And there we go, I've now got the shortcut onto my desktop. And I can close this folder. And now if I double click this shortcut, it will open up Pixet 1 inside the ImageComp Pro program. And it's in here I've got to put all the images for the competition. Now when you open this up, occasionally there will be a little text file in this folder already, like the one you see here. If it's there, well, you can just ignore it. And if it's not there, well, you can forget about that as well. It just doesn't matter. So I need to get the images into this folder from this one down here where I gathered all the pictures together. If I open that competition pics folder up once more, there they are. I can select all of those. Copy them, Control C, come over to the Pixet folder, right click and paste. And you can now see that I've got my 9 images into the Pixet folder. I can now just shut that down. I can also close down this competition pics folder because I will not be needing that again. Okay, we can now go into the program. So I double click the icon. Select single screen. And we get to the setup screen again. And now if we look down here in the current Pixet status and options panel, down the left hand side where we list all the 6 Pixets, you can see that under Pixet 1 and images column, it shows that we have 9 images in there. Now if we did put images in the Pixet folder which did not have the proper JPEG file extension, this will show up here. The figure in yellow, the 9, tells us how many valid images are in the folder. And of course that number should be the total number of images in our competition. But if any of the images that we put in the folder are not valid, the yellow number will be less, and the number of invalid images will be shown alongside in red. If this happens, you'll need to go back, check and correct the offending images via the desktop shortcut file, and try again. Well, there are obviously no rogue images here, so let's load them. And we do that by clicking on the appropriate Yes Load button adjacent to the Pixet which we populated. So I'll click Yes. And you can see along the bottom it says processing and then and complete. And when it is complete, it will show a display order. And there we are, we've got 9 images displayed in the order that they will be shown in the competition. Now by default this is a random order, and we'll find out later how we can make changes to that. And from here we can save this list, and we can also print this list using the S or P keys. The saved and printed list will not include the author's name. That's because this list is often used to send to a judge for pre-judging, and you really don't want him to know the author's names. The other interesting thing about the save file here is that alongside each item you'll have a little box where a judge can write a score in. And this is often used by club members who don't quite trust all this technology and still like to do a sort of manual check on the scores. If you do want to include the author's names, you just use Shift S or Shift P to print. And when we're done with that, we can do, as it says here, key R to return. Our key R. And we go back to our setup screen. And as you can see, under loaded now against Pixet 1, it says yes. We have loaded Pixet 1 and we're ready to run a competition. And there's no problem now shutting down the machine, because all that information and images will stay there until we physically clear it. We're going to exit that, and we'll now look at the other method of loading our images. For this alternative load method, we do not need to put the images into a Pixet folder prior to opening the program, going to the setup screen and clicking the Yes Load button as we did before. But we do need to do something else. So let's have a look. Let's open up the program by double clicking the icon. Single screen to get to the setup screen. Now what we're going to do here is load the same pictures in again, but this time we're going to put them into Pixet 2, which is currently empty. And we're going to use the new method to do this. Now for this mode to work, we first need to take a quick look at these buttons down here, or one of these buttons adjacent to Pixet 2 under Presets. We just click on that Yes button. Now this can be a little bit frightening at first, but this is where all manner of options allow you to set up the program exactly as you want it to run. And all this is going to be covered in quite a lot of detail in preset tutorials coming up on the disk. But for now, we're just interested in this one here, Load Input Via. Now the default, as we can see here, is Pixet Shortcut. And that's the method we used earlier to load the pictures into Pixet 1. But there is an alternative, which is Browse button. And we're going to select Browse button. And we're now going to exit this page by clicking the Apply to Pixet 2 and Exit. Righto, back on the setup screen. Now we'll click the Load button adjacent to Pixet 2. And what we got here is a Browse form. And we need to browse and find the folder where we got all the images ready for the competition. So we'll click Browse. And they're on desktop. And you may remember they're in a folder called Competition Pics. So we'll open that up. And there they are. And what we now need to do is to select any one of those pictures. Doesn't matter which one. And we can click Open. And we then go to the Go button and click Go. And the program will go through the same sort of process as we saw previously and come up with an image display order. And once again, these can be saved and printed, and keying R will return us to the setup screen. And now, as in Pixet 1, you can see that Pixet 2 has got 9 images in it, and they are loaded. Now what we'll do here is just run a competition with one of those sets of pictures to get to a results table again, and perhaps we'll use Pixet 1. And you'll remember we ran the demo competition by clicking this red button down here. And for alongside that we got numbers 1 to 6, which of course are the Pixets. And if we want to run a competition with the pictures in Pixet 1, we click 1. And we've seen this screen before, where we can offer the judge a preview of the images, a chance to comment on the images without scoring them, or we can jump straight in and judge. So let's key a J to judge. And we know we can score these images using the score keys. I'll give that 15, 1, 5 and enter. 18, 1, 8, enter. I'm going to hold that one back, H to hold back. And I'm going to hold that one back as well, H to hold back. 13, 1, 3, enter. 15, 1, 5, enter. Ooh, 17, 1, 7, enter. Not too sure on that one, just give that 9, enter. And that one, that's interesting, I'll hold that one back as well. And it tells us we've held back 3 images, and using the space bar I can see those 3 images. We can score these in any order. So I'm going to give this one 20. Now we've got 2 left, that one and that one, hitting the space bar to go through them. I'll give them both 19. I think 19 for that one and 19 for that one. and up comes our results table. And in the next tutorial we're going to look and see what options are open to us once we get to this table.